We were on holidays, our annual holidays, down camping, down at Kyola.
Yep.
And after my afternoon nap, I managed to fall off my bike and make a sandwich between a brick wall, the road, the bike and myself, and I fractured my wrist, broke my arm. Ended up in hospital with a 11.5-inch, 12-inch plate that goes from my wrist up to here and 12 screws in my arm. The surgery went really, really well, and it was going, I thought, really well, and then the doctor started to get really worried and said that I was developing CRPS, which is complex referred pain syndrome, I think. They just call it CRPS. And my hand deteriorated. Even though the hand wasn't injured, the hand became red and sweaty, swollen, just sort of discoloured, and went into like a claw. And I had months of physiotherapy, and they put it into a splint which looked like a guitar fret, trying to straighten the fingers out, hot wax baths. They referred me to the St George Pain Clinic. They put me on a mixture of higher drugs and started some really weird therapies. Things like putting my right hand, the damaged hand, inside a box with a mirror and doing exercises with this hand, the left hand. And I had to look at the mirror and trick my brain into thinking that my right hand was actually working. It didn't work. The problem was I couldn't use my fingers. They were pretty well, the claw was my problem. It was horrible. Couldn't do my quilting, my sewing, which was a real pain for me. Mainly couldn't get to work. Couldn't cook. For a while there I couldn't even get dressed properly because I couldn't use my right hand. I had no use of my hand really from when I broke it in the January until when I saw James in the October, mid-October. So about 9.5 months of not being able to use my hand. I didn't really expect a lot from the encounter. I thought maybe a bit of an improvement. And after a bit of a chat, James and I went to his office and we sat there, and I thought we had a fairly nice chat. And at the end of it, he asked me how I felt, and I said tired. James said I could have a stretch, and I stretched. Shall I show? I stretched like this, and James said, look at your hands. And I think I said, holy shit. I hadn't been able to do that since before I broke my hand. It was surprise, amazement, bit incredulous really. I don't think I really believed that it was for real, and I don't think it really sunk in for a few days, because all the way home on the plane I kept doing this and looking at my hand and examining my arm and feeling my hand and totally fascinated by what was going on in it. But there was no physical reason for it to have happened that I couldn't say. But it was amazing. And I think I got a bit teary. I just couldn't believe that I had my hand in that position. The arthritis in my little finger doesn't pain me anymore. I've still got the bump. But it's pretty functional. To all intents and purposes, I've got a fully mobile, useful hand, and I can drive and sew and do all the things that I like to do. The only thing that was different between the before and the after was James. And I'm just grateful. Totally grateful. So, in effect, really, I did try everything that anybody suggested to me. I did everything that the doctors said to the letter of the law. I followed through with the acupuncture. I exercised it. I spent a fortune on putty and gloves and the wax baths. I can still do a pretty nice manicure with the wax bath. That was a bonus. But nothing had any of the effect that the hypnotherapy did. It had such a dramatic impact I was shocked, really. I was mesmerised by the hand for days. I would really recommend anybody who's got things that they need to address that aren't working anywhere else. What have you got to lose? I would totally recommend it, and I would thoroughly recommend James. I'm a hard nut to crack, and I would definitely go back and do it again. It changed my life. It gave me back my life. I think my family is grateful, as I am.